We work hard so you can get hard. That's a lot.
I'm sure that was consensual.
It was fucking Carl!
Now we're going to talk about, in general, what it takes to get to that next level. What's going to be like the easiest fit to win a championship, right? And we're talking about who's easier to build around, a guard or a big man. And when we look through the history books, we've seen an incredible array of players from both ends, from the Tim Duncans of the world in the big men group to the Steph Currys and the Kobe Bryants of the guards. And I ask you, Dalton, which one would you rather build around as your best player on the team, a superstar guard or a superstar big man?
So both, it's not easy to build around people. I do want to say, like, for the sake of everyone, we're not like pretending like this is a 2K rebuild. We know how hard it is in real life to build around any star. But in contrary, I do think it's easier to build around a star guard than a star big man, especially with the way today is. There's certain deficiencies that if a guard has, it's not the end of the world for that team. And I like, for my example, is Trae Young and Cat. You look at Trae Young and the success the Hawks have, and they have all this stuff. Trae Young's just about the worst defensive player in the league. He's not good. He can't be good. He's very limited by his physical, and it affects the team not as little. I mean, a lot of it's on the coaching and the other personnel, but you can cover up a guard that's not good at defense. But you look at Cat, and when he has not been good on the floor, Timberwolves have been awful, terrible. And it's been so hard to build around because big men, their initial role is to play defense and get rebounds. That's been their role in the NBA forever. And if he can't do that, it's so hard. It struggles because it opens up the paint. Rather than guards, their initial archetype is supposed to be shoot and pass the ball, play make. And as long as they do that, I think that's easy. It's just it's easier for them. I mean, defense is not very little. I mean, even shooting's not required for some guards. Look at Russell Westbrook. Look at John Wall. I mean, granted, neither one has won a championship, but they've both been all-stars, and they've been on really good teams in their own right. And John Morant, even he's not the best shooter, but he's been able to be covered up. He's not the best defensive player either. Granted, he's not bad at either, but they can be covered up. Rudy Gobert, offense can't be. It's hard. It's tough. He limits them in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think, a big part of where the debate lands is there's not a whole lot of big men that are worth building around. Like in the league right now, there's only like 3 or 4 that you could legitimately say you're going to build around that guy. Jokic, Embiid, and Cat. And outside of that, I don't know who you could legitimately say, okay, we're going to build around this big man. Obviously, there's your power forwards like Giannis. Like, I guess he's a big man.
Yep. Anthony Davis when the weather is good.
Anthony Davis is a horrible example. No one should build around him.
I said when the weather is good because apparently everything affects his injury.
He said the other day he hasn't taken a shot since April 6th.
Ridiculous, but I'm not trying to rant on that. Ridiculous.
Yeah. But when we're talking about building between a guard and a big man, it's easier to build around a guard because there's just simply more great ones that come into the league and are available. Everybody wants to be the shooter. Everybody wants to be that star, that athletic guy who's dominating the team. That's why you have a lot of these guys like Donovan Mitchells and your Jaylen Browns and your Bradley Beals, and teams are trying to build around those guys the best they can. But it's hard if you can't find a great big man either, because like I said, there's just not a whole lot of them out there. But with a guard, at least you can put him into your starting lineup. Okay, I've got some good shooting here. I've got a guy who leads my offense. Where do we go from there? Who helps build off this guy's strengths? And you're seeing it even with the Dallas Mavericks. They almost made it to the finals this year where they don't have another star around their point guard right now. And they would love to get one, I think, but simply put, they just put some good enough role players around them and they figured it out.
Exactly. And their center, their main big man, only played 10 minutes a night. The Warriors with their small ball lineup with Draymond Green, they're showing that you don't need a center. You can play without a center. Look at the Rockets 2-3 years ago. PJ Tucker was their center. That poor guy, bless his heart. Ugh. But that's proven. And there's one outlier where I'll mention. That's the Nuggets. But Jokic is a one in a generation type player where you can see a big man have that playmaking, that shooting, that offensive ability, and still hold it up on the defensive end. He's deserving for the last 2 MVPs because of that, and he is the outlier. Where I look at it, where you can have an all-star guard without a big man, but you can't have a big man without a guard.
I agree. He's an outlier in a way, but like even with him, they haven't won a championship. They haven't been close. Who knows if they'll get there? I think they've got enough great pieces around them where certainly they could. But it's like the similar thing with Joel Embiid. Like he's a great player. They probably should have made a championship by now.
Yeah.
But not necessarily won one, but they should have been in a finals by now with Joel Embiid. They've had plenty of great opportunities and they haven't been able to do it because no matter how great of a night he still has to have greatness around him for them to do anything. And they've tried finding that next guy to be a star next to him for years, and they cannot figure it out because they're just having a hard time with it for many reasons. But they've got their star big man. They're like, well, we can't lose him, so we're building around him.
Yeah, and my last point is, I mean, I can name 3 guards who have carried their team, who have legitimately carried their team to a conference finals. Trae Young carried his team to a conference finals without a dominant big man or he had a big man.
Clint Capella is
but
he
wasn't.
And John Collins is decent.
Clint Capella, if you remember, in that series was still limited by time because he can't space it. And John Collins was decent. He's in and out for injury. Obviously, we mentioned the Mavericks. Remember, Damian Lillard also carried his team to a conference finals. Yep. And he had Nurkic, which sure, Nurkic is a good big man, but it was because of Damian
but not
Lillard.
Like a star by any. Yeah, no, I agree. You can see a star guard really take over, and you know, it wasn't Kobe who joined Shaq; it was Shaq who joined Kobe.
That's right. Perfect. And that's now forever the archetype. Whenever they mention players, like look at Giannis, they're like, Giannis can't do it without a Kobe. Shaq needs his Kobe, and they got Drew Holiday. He has Chris Middleton. So it just requires more from a big man. That's why it's easier to build around a guard like that. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's the age-long debate, though, guys. Big man versus guard, big versus small. You know, it's all about how you use it, though. So, you know, we're always strictly ball business. We typically only talk about balls, but you know, you heard it here first. We talked about big man versus little man. All right, strictly ball business. We went so hard for you, so you leave a comment on the tube.